All right, what's up, guys? I have today's guest, Bill Hagan, on Elevate, Dominate, Downline here at EXP. Bill is somebody that I've been interacting with quite some time, even back to the KW days. We've always been sharing thoughts, ideas, and it's so awesome to see your business grow. I know I've learned a lot from what you guys do down in Monmouth and Ocean County. So thanks for coming on, dude. And you know, I'm curious to hear the story. Like, how did this whole thing get started? How'd you get into real estate?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I got into real estate really by investing and started off back in like 2000, picked up a couple properties when things were affordable, and you could put 3% down and buy $100,000 condo. And then I just found myself just calling like the listing agent and saying, "Hey, I want to go see this house over on, Main Street. Can you get me in today, 3 o'clock?" I did that 3 or 4 times, and I'm like, you know what? Why am I just making them money? Let me get my license, so that way I have access to the MLS. I can find deals as they come on. I can get all the information, and then I'll just pay myself the commission. So, that's how I started off. And I was a teacher for about 18 years. So I was teaching bartending, and that's how we really know each other. Is working Cara back in the day. And it just became a side hustle that eventually became a full-time job. So I was doing like 1 or 2 deals a year, primarily for friends, people I knew, people from school. And I guess the progression was about 10 years of selling like less than 5 to 10 homes. And then just snowballing. And I think one of the big thing was reading the MREA, which is a pretty $1 million real estate agent, which was really helped me focus on planning and setting goals.
Yeah,
which is great because this is the time of year when we start thinking about next year, like what's your 22 goals look like?
Right.
What's the game plan?
Totally. And I would imagine, so you got it. What year was it when you officially got licensed in real estate?
2006.
Okay. And then it was kind of, so 2014, 15, 16, that's when you were kind of like, hey, let me pick up a book and try to figure out how to make this more of a business.
Yeah. It took me a little bit of time to, it's funny because even when I talk to agents now, a lot of people, the conversation is, I'm happy with where I am. I'm happy with what I'm doing. And I think a lot of people don't realize it's like, well, it's just changing a couple things in your day that could take your business to a whole nother level. And It just starts with the mindset, right? It's coming up with a plan and just setting the goal of saying like, hey, why can't I sell 30 homes? I was selling 8 homes a year. And it just seemed like, I sat down with, I remember it was Mary Beth Tortorello, and she's like, hey, well, have you ever sold 25? I was like, oh, that'd be great. I'm like, well, how many listings do you need? How many buyers do you need? And so it's just building a plan. And then I learned by just doing that, it helped me just overachieve and go to a new level.
Yeah, I always tell people, like, if you're not selling homes, it's the same idea of like when you don't have any money in your bank account and you don't want to look to see like how bad it's overdrawn. It's like you have to create that awareness around why you're underperforming in every aspect of your life. And I feel like that audit, that goal setting, that actually just trying to figure out how you're going to be a better person tomorrow, the next day, the following day, and just doing a little bit more and more and more. It all adds up to, the success that you guys see when you look at like what Bill's done with his team over the years.
Yeah. And, it was sometimes when I was teaching, my hours were limited, right? So I was done school at 2. So it was having a half a day to really get done what most people were doing with an extra 8 hours. So I had to be really purposeful with my time, but it was literally just writing down a list. So if your goal is to sell 30 homes, write down a sheet of paper. I remember doing that every day, just having a sheet of paper next to my bed. And it was like 1 to 30. And every time I met somebody who talked about buying or selling, I just wrote their name on that sheet of paper. And the goal was to just add as many people onto that sheet of paper. And then, before I knew it, it was like November and I had like 26 people. I'm like, I think we can do this, and it just keeping it simple.
Yeah, I feel like that's like not just agents. I mean, everybody's brain kind of just overworks the actual process of what it takes to have success in any business. And it really is. I mean, obviously you have to watch your numbers and pay attention to your bottom line if you're investing back in the business and stuff like that. But the reality is it's just a very simple, like you can talk to 10 new people a day, every single day, and you can do it in probably 25 or 30 minutes. And like just that little exercise, like just throwing up on people, even if you're just being like full blown used car salesman saying, hey, do you have any interest in selling your home? You're going to have results. I mean, me and Dave DeVoe, when we first started, we were calling FISBOs without a clue of what we were talking to them about. And like, we were just surprised that we were reading off that Mike Ferry script that we'd get halfway down it and people would be like, yeah, come on over. And we're like, wait, that worked? And it really is a numbers game. And from there, like, the version of yourself in 2006 to the version of yourself now, when you're on those phone calls is I would imagine significantly enhanced. Your conversion ratios are wildly better, but you also got there by having the plan and also, executing with that repetitious boredom. And I feel like too, like, I see so many agents that come into the business now, and I'm sure you do too, where they feel like they don't have enough time in the day, or they don't. And like, people don't get that, like you were selling like 100 homes per year and still a teacher. Like it's not like you're talking about 25 homes per year right now, but fast forward, you were cranking and still a teacher, to the point where I'm calling you up and going, Bill, what are you doing? Like, leave your job, man.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's always someone doing more. And the reality is we all have the same resource. We all have like the access to, there's no magic pill. There's no secret CRM or lead gen funnel. We'll have 24 hours. And, I had my coaching call last week, and, my coach was kind of like poking fun of me and just saying, look, like I make 4 times as much as you with the same, and you work a lot harder than me. And that's something that really resonated. It's not how hard you work. It's really how smart you work in building the plan and just execution, right? Because we all have the same amount of hours in a day, and there's many people out there who are selling a lot more homes than I can imagine. And they literally have the same amount of time, the same opportunity to perform. And that's one of the good things about real estate. It's just figuring that out, right? We're all at that point where we want to increase our business, but it's just figuring out, like, who do I have to become to get to that next level? And how do I have to manage my day differently? Because all of us have a shortage of time, but the reality is we all have the same amount.
Right. And I feel like looking back too, like the difficult, you mentioned the agent that's selling like 8 homes per year. So I feel like that's more difficult than going from 8 to 40 or 8 to 50. And like, I also feel like once you're getting to that point where you're selling, let's say if you're selling 1 home a month and it's 12 homes per year, you're selling 2 homes per month and it's 24 per year. Then you could say, okay, great. Am I going to free up time hiring leverage to go and bring in an assistant or showing agent to start making more money, with that time that I freed up? Or you could do something as simple as just elevating your price point. And anytime something comes through that's under what your minimum price point would be, you could still sell your 24 homes per year, but say, I'm not going to touch anything that's under $1 million, or I'm not going to touch anything under 800,000, and I'm going to refer out the rest. And I find people that do even just that simple exercise, and their whole price point just blows through the roof because they're not wasting time on that lower price point lead. That's not my style, but I'm just saying I see people do it that way.
Yeah. And like you said, you start off with the scripts, with the Mike Ferry scripts. And how long did it take for you to consistently set appointments? It just wasn't instant. You just didn't wake up one day, hey, I'm going to start making phone calls, and then you have 5 listings. And I think a lot of people don't understand it. It's a skill set. It's like hitting a ball. It's like the more time you step up to the plate, the better you get. Right. Same thing with calling. Like my first year on the phone, I sucked. I didn't even know what to say. It was just like, ask some questions. I didn't have a script. I didn't think I needed one. And now it's just, you've done it a million times. So it's easy. It's natural. It's almost like a game. It's like, I know when I ask this question, I know exactly what they're going to say. I know what to say when their rebuttal's this, I say that. It's almost boring. It's just the conversation I've had in my head 1,000 times. And it's like playing chess. Like, you just got to know what their next move is. And it's easy because it's all the same. Yeah.
I think of, we just recently watched Good Will Hunting. And I think of that time where they're at the Harvard bar, and he's like, hey, and I know, and you're going to say this next, right? Cause you read that and blah, blah, blah. And he starts to like walk into it, but it really is. It's like a video game that you've kind of mastered. I think of, Federer was a big tennis player when I was first getting into it, and they were using him as like the analogy too. Like he knows he's walking his opponent around the court with the shots that are all set up within that chess match, and that's why he goes in for the kill when it's there. And it's the exact same thing. It's when you're as well scripted as you are, you're walking them into that conversation, adding value, and then if there's an opportunity to help them by saying, hey, maybe it would make sense to sell your home, or maybe it would make sense for us to sit down, and then you move in at the right time. And that's where the business starts to grow. But
yeah, and it's just a confidence thing, it's having the confidence. Obviously some people are just natural, right? There's people that, I sat in the office next to, I was like, oh my God, that guy crushes the phone. He's just naturally good at talking to people.
Yeah.
And he was setting appointments, and I was like, wow. So if you're not a natural, it's like you have to work on get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And you hear it so many times, and the best way to get comfortable is just do it a million times and fail forward, and just know you're gonna see a lot of rejection, but how persistent are you?
It's like David Goggins, who his like least favorite thing to do was running, because he was a 300-pound guy. So he signed up for an ultra marathon to run 100 miles. He's like, I took what I really didn't want to do, and I decided I'm going to be insanely good at this. And then he started winning races. But this is something that always people like, they'll say to me, well, I don't like calling. Well, when I talk to Dan Spitz doesn't like calling either. You probably don't like calling. You live right on the beach. Like, you probably would rather just be at the beach like every other realtor, right?
Yeah.
But
you think about like, what else would I rather be doing?
Yeah.
It's just part of your day. So that becomes the routine, right? And it's like, hey, I know if I don't it's like going to the gym. Like, I can't say, I can't wake up. I can't wait to wake up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym. It sucks.
Yep.
Prospecting, I can't say like, I can't wait to just have 50 people tell me to go F myself today, but I just know it's just part of that business, because all the people we watched, who were successful, like the Mike Ferry organization and those different groups, and that's what you did. And that's what we bought into. And that's what we still do. And that's what we preach. And having a team that's prospecting based, are there other ways to do business? Sure. There's people who are marketing based, but this is what, I signed up for. And so I figured, let me just get good at this.
So I guess if you're licensed in 06, your 15th year in the business, was it along the way? Was it all like, were there any struggles that you had that, I would imagine until you picked up the MREA, it was kind of like not really a focus of yours. So it probably wasn't that difficult unless you were trying to actually grow your business and just didn't have the right book in your hands. But I'm thinking like more so when you're saying, hey, let's start building systems and stuff like that, or let's start going down this road. For me, it was literally right when I started real estate. I just like failed. I fell right on my face. I couldn't get anybody to do anything, but I also wasn't taking the action with the right mindset. So.
Yeah, I just think when you first start, there's so much you have to learn. And then, I really wasn't purposeful. And I think that's a big difference maker, is starting to show up to work every day purposeful, because it's so easy to lose track of time and what did I want to get accomplished? And even reflecting on your day and say, what did I accomplish today?
Yep.
Because, if you don't start with a list, having a simple checklist of I want to get these 5 things done, because there's so many days. And when I quit teaching and went real estate full time is 4 years ago. When you have so much more time, it's easier to like get stuck talking to someone. When I only had 4 hours to do it, I was very, very purposeful, because my time to succeed was condensed.
Right.
And now when I have like 12 hours, sometimes I'll be at the office at 8 o'clock and I'll look back at my day and say, I just goofed off the whole day. Like I got one of the 6 things I wanted to accomplish, and you're not getting that time back. You're not getting that day back. So, having a checklist and just making sure that you're moving it forward the way you want to, because it's very easy to get distracted with all the noise, right? With this client who's upset and this attorney who didn't do this. And so the minutia, and you have work days and you have busy days, and you just got to make sure that you have those right days that are just putting you in the right direction to hit your goals. But totally. Like you said, the failure, and that's, a lot of people say like, wow, you got to be smart to be successful in real estate. And I think I would really disagree with that. I think you have to be persistent more than anything, right? Yeah. Think about how many times you've had rejection from a client, from a potential client, from, even growing the team, from agents that you see, that you meet with, and it's just being persistent. And I always say that I'm too dumb to quit. If I was smart, I would have this is tough.
Yeah.
You hear no 90% of the time.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that I remember learning. So when I failed in real estate the first time around, I went into the car business. I started working at Nissan, and actually Ray, Uncle Ray, I think Matson's his last name, but I'm still friends with him on Facebook, so you might see this. He used to always tell me, he's like, you're pretending to be too smart. Dumb it down. Stop thinking and just get into conversations with people. Like, just actually, I'd over, like, we're talking about, you're kind of used to, where somebody's going to go. I would start thinking I knew where somebody was going to go in the conversation, but I wasn't good enough to know where they were actually going to go. Kind of, you know what I mean? I don't know if you've ever had that happen either. And I just had to kind of let it, I had to listen. I had to slow down and not try to be a hot shot kind of salesperson in that scenario, and just talk and listen and wherever it needs to go.
Well, I think that's what you said, listening, right? So we know the person who controls the conversation is the one who asks the most questions.
Yep.
And I even look, when I first started going on listing presentations or meeting with agents, whatever it was, is like, if I was talking more, that was bad.
Yep.
Right. Because if you're talking more, then you're not listening.
Yep.
And so asking the questions is really, it's makes you more purposeful, and then what they're going to say and you can react to it.
Yeah. One thing, and I haven't tried it out on the listing side of things, but I say it all the time when it comes to agent attraction, is when I get on the call or when I get on the Zoom or meeting or whatever, my first question is, how do I make this as purposeful as possible for you? And I would venture to say that would work well for a seller too. When you're on a listing presentation and you say, how do I make this as purposeful as possible for you? And they're going to open up. They're going to just start talking about at least the agents do. I would imagine a seller would do the same thing, but they just start to talk about what are their pain points within their current brokerage? What are, or their current team, or what's going really well in their business, or what's going really, like, what's hurting in their business? Where's the momentum? Where's the pain? And you just go in and start to move the conversation down through exactly what they just told you to talk to them about, whereas when I used to present on the listing side of things, it was always, here's what we do. Here's this, here's that, boom, 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 boom. And it's more so, no, you need to know what they need to know. And that's where you're going to go to be an ultimate rapport with them.
Well, that's, you brought up a great point. It's like helping people, right? I mean, that's really why we do this, because we do want to help people. I mean, I get paid to help people. Yes. But whether they're agents or their clients, it's like, I honestly believe that I can help them better than 99% of the people that they would talk to. Right. And I think when you genuinely care about people, when you talk to agents, it's not like, hey, I want to recruit you. It's like, there's an opportunity that might be better than the one you have. There might be a way of doing things that might be better than the way that you currently do it. And whether you choose to come to my brokerage or not, would you still want to have that conversation if it makes sense? Because I want to help you. And a lot of people, it's funny because you're talking like, no, I'm good. And I'm like, hey, if you could ever help me, please call me, because, we could all use, there's someone who's doing things better than us. And why would you not want to learn more to help yourself? Yeah.
And that's, it's funny. Curtis Johnson, who's, I think he's got over 5,000 agents with him here at EXP at this point. There were the banners going around where they're like, I'm not recruitable on their Facebook thing. And he put one on that says, I am recruitable. And he's like, here's where I'm at, this is what I'm doing. And, wrote out the whole thing and everything. And if anybody out there has a better opportunity for me, I'll sit down and I'll listen to it. And but nobody has a better opportunity for what he has. But I'm just saying, it's just so crazy how I say that all the time. I'm like, you guys are worried about splits and caps and all that stuff. And I'm like, we're coincidentally at an inexpensive place to operate that's deep in value, but I'll pay somebody $10 million a year to show me at a net $5 million while we're working less.
Yeah.
I just haven't found them yet.
We've had that conversation in the past, and, why would you not do a 50-50 split with someone who's going to help you make more money than you had before, and help you achieve goals that you didn't think were possible 5 years ago?
Yeah. And it's funny. It's like, you as a team leader, you're actually going into business, giving them, like, you're almost taking a split to be on your agent's team, and that's going to enhance your overall. It's kind of we're essentially on someone else's team. Like, it's just, you have to invest in your business, and that's such a huge piece to this puzzle if you really do want to grow. And that's specifically why I feel like the agents between like the 8 and 12 transactions per year, they stall out a lot there because they get to that point where they're trying to keep every penny and they're not willing to actually leverage beyond that and know that, hey, if I hammer down on the accelerator, this could easily turn into 36 more transactions per year. And that's, where the growth comes. But you're going to max out unless you're doing, New York City lofts at 13 million a piece and you sell 4 of them a year and you work barely. Great. And maybe I'll go do that. Maybe that's actually gonna be my retirement. It sounds great.
Yeah. And just think like that's just not realistic for everybody to do is because how many $13 million homes are there that we can actually focus on selling 4 houses, and the luxury agent's completely different market. But I know we've had those conversations before about how do we help people, agents at a high level, how do we create the environment where they can perform and focus on selling, and where we take care of the back end, right? Like the transactions, the lead gen, all the things. So that way, when we plug agents into our system, they can run fast.
Yep.
And, it's funny. I remember I was talking to someone and they were just like, I want to run a team like you just so I can make money off of other people. And I think anyone who's really running a team understands that you make money with people. You don't make money from people.
Right.
And it's like the agents who work for me, they've all done less production on their own. And I'm sure the same thing within the Sikora. It's like when you're plugged into a system where the lane is pretty much paved for you and all you have to do is just cruise down that lane, it's a lot easier. And I know there's a lot of team leaders out there who that's what they want to do. They just want to create a lane where agents can run fast and they can just produce at a high level. And I think the mindset for a lot of agents, it's tough, I guess, to switch that mindset and say, look, like I'm going to have to be humble. And because at the end of the day, my profitability is what's most important to me. And it's not the split. It's not these other things, these intangibles that really don't matter. At the end of the day, I want to make, 300,000. Brett, what's the plan in your world that can help me do that?
Right.
So
yeah, it's honestly, it's what it's all about. And then what I tell people too, it's like, who else, within the other person that I'm up against or the other, like who else has actually had that success that they can like like being able to prove that it's actually working too. And that's the fun thing about this. We just have so many people within our organization that we could say, hey, go talk to so-and-so, or hey, go talk to somebody else. They're within our family. Here's their growth. This is what happened. Just, deals wise, where you're at today, what are your plans going forward? And then, to wrap it up, leaving the agents with something actionable that they can, I know we already kind of touched on a bunch of stuff, but something that they can kind of take and move forward with this.
Yeah, I just think, this year our goal is to do about, we'll finish about 70 million and about 130 units, so, it's a lot of changes, a lot of moving parts for me and just figuring it out. And, I've called you several times and, we all have struggles, and it's just getting through those struggles every day and continue to grow and setting my plan for next year and executing and trying to be better. And I think that's what a lot of people have to realize. It's even people who are doing things at a higher level than you, everyone struggles, and it's just figuring out like, what do I have to do and who do I have to be to make sure I right the ship and do more than I did last year and be better than I was last year.
Yep.
So, and that's probably the advice for people is just, there's people out there who've done what you're trying to do. And I guess the great thing is where we're at now with EXP and the resources we have with Dan, Kyle, you, there's just so many talented agents that are, if my goal is to sell 250 homes, I have 10 people that I can reach out to who all know what those demons look like trying to hit those levels. And that's pretty powerful, because I know for me, I want to learn from people who've either done what I'm trying to do or they've helped other people achieve those goals.
Yeah.
That gives me the credibility to, and me the confidence to execute.
Yeah. And especially when you're playing more at that, the 200, 250 and even you're fully leveraged out staff wise. It's like you get to that point where if you take advice from the wrong person, it can go wrong really quickly. Like it can be a very expensive mistake. And what's nice about having those guys like Dan, Kyle, even Tammy Pack, Mary Maloney, like Curtis Johnson, our whole upline is they've already proved, like they've proven, like, don't go do that. This didn't work, you know. Don't. We'll see in the private group chat where it's like, hey, should we do I don't know, one of these postcard things or some geo farming or something like that, and everybody's like, no, stay away from it. No, it's a waste of money, you know. And then they're able to really break down why. So. Cool, man. Well, listen, dude, always a pleasure having you on. If somebody wanted to reach out to you and said, hey, Bill, I like what you're saying. How do I, become part of your family here? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, they can check out our Instagram. It's William Hagan, RE, and send us, a DM, and we'll get back to you, or call me, or reach out to me via email, bill@williamhagangroup.com. And always here, not to recruit people. It's more to help people.
Yeah.
And, recruiting is a function of, it just makes sense that it's a place that you think that you can achieve your goals a lot easier and a lot faster. So, but I appreciate the opportunity, Brett. Always a pleasure. And thank you. Because I know a lot of times I reach out to you and, with the frustrations, and appreciate the advice. And I think that's something that, if you work at the smaller brokers, I mean, those brokers are in your corner. But if it's the business related, I'm talking to a lot of the agents now, and I'm like, hey, have you started your business planning for next year? And I'm like, what's that? And it's scary out there. But
yeah, we wrote that in August.
Exactly.
We're in 2023 already.
Exactly.
Awesome, man. Well, dude, I appreciate it. I hope to see you soon. Hope to get together.
Yeah, appreciate it.